A cobalt haze drifted through the Vornar Nebula, its tendrils of ionized gas weaving between ancient star clouds. Ships of the Arduin Collective seldom ventured here. There was nothing to harvest, no trade routes to plunder. Yet Ambassador Silin found herself glued to her viewport, her dark eyes reflecting the swirling light show beyond. Her station aboard the reconnaissance vessel Celestis was otherwise peaceful. Rows of crystalline consoles hummed softly, and data slates glowed with routine metric readouts. But then her comm specialist Doran froze mid-scan, brow creasing beneath his ceremonial headpiece. "Ambassador," he whispered, voice taut, "I'm picking up something. A faint subspace signature. I can't place its origin." Selin rose, the hem of her silk tunic whispering along the deck. She stepped beside him, peering at the cascade of green glyphs on his holoscreen. "Play it back, in full spectrum." With a crisp gesture, Doran isolated the transmission. The bridge fell silent as a crackling voice filtered through the speakers. "This is Captain Ilara Thorne of the Elysium's Wrath. We've located the X-47 Rift Drive and requesting immediate..." The signal fragmented into static, then it blinked back to life, each word laced with a human accent that carried equal measures of pride and apprehension. "Authorization to proceed. Jump coordinates. Ready. Please advise..." Selin's breath caught. The X-47 Rift Drive wasn't merely experimental, it was theoretical. Last debated in the hallowed halls of the Orion Senate, its fundamentals had been sketched on data slates, then swiftly locked away behind layers of interdict. No species had ever constructed even a single component of the Rift Drive. Until now, she turned to Doran. "Cross-reference with all known prototypes, archival models, everything." His fingers danced over the interface. "There's no match," he confirmed. Yet the subspace echo patterns line up perfectly with rift topology, tidal shear, echo collapse, hyperresonance. It's authentic. A tremor of disbelief ran through the bridge crew. Selin swallowed the tight knot in her throat, her mind racing ahead. If humans had truly cracked rift technology, they could slip across the galaxy in a heartbeat, bypassing customs blockades, oversight, entire planetary defenses. Wars, commerce, diplomacy, all would be upended. Within the hour, her urgent transmission had summoned an emergency conclave. The Celestis idled on the edge of Ilaros IV's upper atmosphere, while couriers in sleek fighter shuttles darted through hyperspace toward the planet's capital. The crystalline spires of Ilaros IV, refracting. 3 suns gleamed like impossible gemstones against the black void. By the time Selin entered the council chamber, its ceiling a lattice of living crystal, the seats were already filled. The Riftborn clans, draped in woven plasma cloaks, murmured among themselves. The Vakari Empress, Jai, hovered in an anti-grav harness, her lavender silhouette flickering through holographic drapery. High counselors from the Solaris Dominion sat in strict rows, their mechanical ocular implants scanning for anomalies. At the head of the dais, League Councillor Ryden's stern visage flickered into hollow presence. "Ambassador Selin of the Arduin Collective," he intoned, voice echoing off the crystalline walls. "You have called this summit on grounds of a subspace anomaly. Present your findings." Selin stepped forward, her dignified posture belying the storm inside her. With a subtle wave, she projected the audio and subspace mapping onto the central holoscreen. The chamber lights dimmed, highlighting the undulating waveform and the jagged pulse of rift harmonics. "What we hear," she began, "is unmistakably the signature of the X-47 Rift Drive, a propulsion system theorized but never realized. And yet a human vessel claims to have activated it." She paused, letting the weight of the revelation settle. "Today, that vessel traversed our senses." A hush fell. Then Jai's cool voice pierced the quiet. "Humans The species that barely manages standardized warp coils, they cannot be serious. A ripple of laughter, bitter and uneasy, spread among the delegates. Riftborn Chief Tark leaned forward, his voice like grinding stone. This is folly. Primitive humans lack the computational precision to stabilize even a C-12 Singulon emitter. We would detect catastrophic collapse long before rift ignition. Selin met his glare coolly. Yet here we are. I trust you will not accuse the Arduin Collective of fabricating this data. Every calibration, public and private, corroborates the pattern. If we are mistaken, let science prove it so. But if we are right, the galaxy's equilibrium shifts. Solaris Chancellor Kirill's hollow projection crackled angrily. Authorization protocols alone span 40 treaties. Who sanctioned this? Earth answers to no council, no alliance structure we recognize. Silence fell again. The chamber walls pulsed with latent energy, as though the very planet recoiled at the notion of human hubris. For a heartbeat, the galaxy's custodians eyed one another, suspicion and fear flaring in every alloyed eye. Then Councillor Ryden raised his staff. We cannot rule by conjecture. We will dispatch an investigation fleet to intercept this vessel. In the meantime, all star lanes near human space are to be monitored. Ambassador Selin, coordinate with our science division, we will get to the bottom of this, by force if necessary. Selin inclined her head. Understood, Councillor. I will marshal my team at once. As the session adjourned, she lingered in the shadow of the chamber, staring at the hollow screen's fading ripples. The silent beacon of human ambition had ignited a panic among the galaxy's guardians, panic born of a civilization they long dismissed as trivial. But Selin felt something else, a spark of grudging respect. Because now, more than ever, the galaxy would know that humankind was no longer to be underestimated. And whichever path lay ahead, cooperation, conflict, or something undiscovered, they would stride into it with engines blazing. Earth's orbital shipyard floated like a silver lotus against the sea of stars, its vast rings bristling with gantries and maintenance arms. Hidden within one of the lesser docks, unmarked in any official registry, lay the Elysium's Wrath. From the outside, her hull appeared unremarkable, an Earth-standard frigate retrofitted with experimental drive conduits and dozens of external sensor pods. But inside her belly, the culmination of humanity's audacious gamble glimmered. Captain Ilara Thorne stood at the foot of the central access ramp, watching her crew swarm like engineers, conducting a cosmic ritual. Steel-toed boots clanged on grated flooring. Soft amber lights traced the contours of the rift chamber, where bundles of superconducting coils arced around a transparent prism of engineered crystal. This was the X-47 Rift Drive, the combination of stolen alien schematics, brute force human ingenuity, and late-night hacking of ancient Galactic Senate research logs. "Captain," Lieutenant Marek reported, voice thick with wonder. He adjusted. A cluster of holo-controls that hovered before him. Magnetic containment at 90%, crystal resonance within safe parameters, fusion core feeding at designated throughput. Ilara's heart hammered. Months of clandestine transmissions, coded deep links to off-world salvage yards, and the quiet acquiescence of a few wealthy backers had led them here. No government on Earth knew the truth. Under the guise of decommissioning derelict cargo ships, they'd acquired rift drive fragments piece by piece. Now those fragments were welded together, soldered with human determination and tuned with the stubborn optimism that had driven explorers for centuries. "Good," she said, voice steady. "Stand by for the first rift compression test. All stations, report readiness." One by one, her senior officers chimed in, weapons bay locked, communications array rerouted through a quantum uplink, navigation calibrated for hyperspatial drift, each subsystem checked and double-checked. Ilara looked up at the domed viewport above the drive chamber. Beyond the reinforced glass, the crystal prism pulsed with an internal glow, like a living heart waiting to ignite. Engage in 3, 2, 1. Now. A low hum swelled into a roar as power surged through the coils. Beams of pale blue. Light snapped into the prism, refracting into tangled filaments that danced across the metal walls. The floor vibrated beneath Ilara's boots. On every console, warning lights blinked, then winked out as containment held steady. "Drive engaged," Marek exclaimed. "Subspace echo registered, rift bubble at 50% stability." Ilara allowed herself a brief smile. "Bring us the rest of the way." Outside, sensors tracked the nascent rift bubble forming like a miniature galaxy, and then, snap, the room dimmed for a fraction of a heartbeat. When lights and screens flickered back, every instrument flooded with tachyon feedback. "It's working," whispered Systems Officer Nguyen. "We've done it." Ilara's chest swelled with pride. Humanity had leapt beyond its earthly cradle, beyond the sluggish warp corridors endorsed by ancient treaties. They had broken free of the leash. "Plot course to Ilaros 4, she ordered. "Prepare for rift transit." Moments later, the Elysium's wrath arced along a narrow ribbon of distorted space, the stars outside stretching into brilliant streaks. Ilara gripped the railing as the ship shuddered, tuning every fiber of her being to the rhythm of hyperspace. Beside her, Marek monitored the drive core's diagnostics, while Communications Officer Leon tapped out a broadcast. "Unclassified. Transmission to all galactic assembly vessels within range. This is Captain Ilara Thorne of the human vessel Elysium's Wrath. We have activated an X-47 rift drive and successfully conducted an inaugural jump. Point of origin, Earth's covert orbital dock. Destination Ilaros 4 for peaceful dialogue. Authorization pending. Proceed with caution." They sent it through multiple secure channels, quantum-entangled beacons, subspace relays, long-range, holonet, and then waited. Back in the bridge's dim glow, tension rippled through the crew. No one spoke as the rift bubble contracted, drawing the ship back into normal space. Outside the viewport, Ilaros the Four's 3 suns glowed. Through swirling clouds, the crystal spires of the capital city shimmering like frozen fire. "Rift collapse complete," Marek announced. "All systems stable. Welcome back to conventional space-time." Ilara let out the breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. "Well done, everyone," she tapped her comm badge. "Hail! Our contacts on the surface. Let's see if the galaxy has enough courage to meet us halfway." In the communication suite, Lian's surface monitors flickered to life as approaching fighters and shuttles converged on their position. Lights from Ilaros the Four's orbital defense grid swept across the night sky, strobes of warning and wonder. Ilara exhaled, eyes shining. Humanity had not only leapt ahead, they had thrown down the gauntlet. In that instant, she understood the weight of the panic she would unleash, and the promise of a future they alone had dared to seize. By the time the Elysium's Wrath drifted into Ilaros the Four's upper atmosphere, long-range scanners had already tracked its rift signature. A squadron of rift-borne interceptor frigates escorted the human vessel through the glowing cloud banks toward the planet's capital, Orolis City, where the grand summit awaited. The city's crystalline spires pierced swirling crimson clouds, their facets reflecting 3 suns in fractured kaleidoscopes. Below, vast plazas thrummed with assembled delegates, their armor and robes shimmering in a riot of alien colors. A shimmering teleportation platform had been erected at the summit grounds, a translucent disk inscribed with ancient protective glyphs. Captain Ilara Thorne and Ambassador Rhea Chand stepped onto its surface, flanked by Lieutenant Marek and Systems Officer Nguyen. With a soft ripple of light, they materialized before the assembled leaders. League Councillor Raiden, Riftborn, Chief Tark, Solaris Chancellor Kirel, and the Vakari Empress Jai. Hollow banners bearing the seals of dozens of member species drifted overhead. Before any formal greetings could commence, Chief Tark's voice thundered across the clearing. Humans, you have violated every interstellar statute known to civilized life. You bypassed safety protocols, evaded oversight, and now demand audience under false pretenses. His plasma cloak crackled as if fueled by indignation. Explain yourselves, or return to your world before we decide your fate. Ilara held her ground, shoulders squared. Chief Tark, I understand your concerns, but Earth has long been barred from full participation in galactic affairs. We could have weaponized this drive, launched unchallenged strikes, or carved out our own empire. Instead, we came here in peace, seeking partnership. She let her words hang, then raised a datapad. On this device are the full schematics of our drive, the safety parameters we used, and the logs of every test we conducted. We offer full transparency. A murmur rippled through the delegates. Solaris Chancellor Kirel leaned forward, his mechanical eye whirring. Schematics alone do not guarantee safety. This technology could collapse entire star systems if miscalibrated. What assurance do we have that you comprehend the stakes? Ilara exchanged a glance with Chand, who stepped forward with a calm dignity that belied her nervousness. We propose a joint oversight council, Chand announced. Human, Riftborn, Solaris, and Vakari scientists and engineers working side by side to refine drive parameters, share data, and supervise every future jump. No unilateral actions. The silence that followed was heavy. Councillor Ryden raised an embossed hand. Your proposal is unexpected. The Assembly has always guarded rift drive theory jealously, yet your openness is refreshing. Here, turn to Zai. Empress, it is your domain that steers subspace law. What say you? The Vakari Empress drifted forward, her lavender form ringed by soft bioluminescent light. Humans have demonstrated two things, audacity and a willingness to admit fallibility. That is rare among new powers. She extended a slender hand. We will not immediately grant you full Assembly membership, but we will test your proposal. A joint mission to explore the Centauri Rift Cluster, a region too dangerous for solo passage, shall serve as our proving ground. Should your drive hold under Vakari scrutiny, you will earn provisional status. Ilara's chest tightened with relief and pride. She inclined her head to Chand, who returned the gesture. We accept, Ilara said, her voice steady. Lead the way. Cheers. And gasps broke out among the assembled delegations. Riftborn engineers exchanged hurried whispers with human counterparts. Solaris dignitaries tapped their cheek implants in approval. Even Chief Tark's harsh glare softened into reluctant respect. Above them, the three sons of Ilaros IV shone, down on a fragile alliance born of panic, promise, and the unlikeliest of partners, humankind. A fortnight later, the mixed-species armada, 5 Riftborn scout corvettes, 3 Vakari research tenders, 2 Solaris science cruisers, and the lone human frigate Elysium's Wrath, slid through the crystalline maelstrom of the Centauri Rift. The region's unstable subspace currents shimmered around them like living auroras, each wave threatening to tear a ship apart if its drive wasn't perfectly tuned. Captain Ilara Thorne stood on the bridge of her flagship, eyes fixed on the holoscreen where Riftborn navigator Cthulhu traced eddying flow lines. Beside him, Vakari physicist emissary Yishril and Solaris engineer Chancellor Kirill's chief technician Lisan adjusted their respective consoles, each working in careful concert with Human Systems Officer Nguyen. Channel 3, Ilara instructed. Let's hear Riftborn diagnostics on that last fluctuation. Cthulhu's barbed voice crackled through the comm. Magnetic shear spiked by 87%, beyond nominal, but containment held due to the human coil matrices. Impressive. Nguyen grinned. Your Vakari stabilizers kept our crystal prism from fracturing, its synergy at work. Below, Deck Ambassador Rhea Chand met with Riftborn Chief Engineer Thora and Vakari Lorekeeper Dr. Sulai, poring over data tablets filled with logs of energy outflows, crystal resonance harmonics, and subspace echo patterns. The grand experiment was progressing flawlessly, better than any single civilization could have managed alone. At the cluster's heart lay the Centauri expanse, a web of subspace fissures coalescing into a roiling vortex of prismatic energy. The flotilla slowed, ringed around the anomaly at cautious standoff distance. Sensors detect a stable wormhole network beneath the rift, Lysan reported. It appears natural, an artifact of ancient galactic seismic events. How long has this been here? Yishril mused, long before any recorded history. A hidden highway waiting for discovery. Ilara felt a thrill. Prepare a shuttle expedition. We're going in. In the reinforced survey shuttles, the joint teams descended through glowing tendrils of subspace, their hulls humming with energy-damping fields. Riftborn geomancers released sensor buoys that traced the wormhole lattice, while Solaris xenobiologists scanned readings for traces of life or technology lurking in the storm. Suddenly, one buoy tripped a burst of encrypted signals, patterns unmistakably artificial. A guarded gasp went through the crew. Translating now, whispered Dr. Sulai from her console. The hollow display filled with rhythmic pulses, coordinates, glyphs, and a looping emblem resembling a spiraled spiral. An alien waypoint, Cthulhu intoned. Perhaps a relic of the precursor civilization. Ilara exchanged a look with Chand. Plot a safe approach. We need to see who, or what, left this behind. Moments later, the shuttles emerged into a hidden subspace refuge, a spherical station of obsidian alloy and glowing filaments, suspended within the heart of the vortex. No launch bays, no visible hatches, yet the structure pulsed with latent power. Across all channels, voices crackled with astonishment. Power readings off the charts, Marek called. Shield matrix intact, despite eons of exposure. Ancient. Rift drive tech, Yishril breathed. More advanced than any we've seen. Ilara stepped forward, awe tipping her usual composure. This station, this world, has been here, hidden by the rift, waiting for the right hands to find it. Lashi. Back on Ilaros 4, hollow projections of the discovery rippled through the summit chambers. League Councillor Ryden's voice boomed with excitement. By the 3 pillars, this changes everything. A precursor archive accessible only via the Centauri Rift. Humans, Riftborn, Solaris Vakari, together you have unearthed a treasure no single power could claim. Ambassador Chand smiled. This is proof that collaboration transcends fear. The galaxy's knowledge, its very future, lies ahead of us. And on the observation deck of the Elysium's Wrath, Captain Thorne watched the swirling prism of subspace, thinking of how far humanity had come, from Earth's hidden docks to the heart of an ancient legacy. Below, alliances solidified, suspicion thawed, and a new chapter in galactic history began. In the crucible of panic, the galaxy had forged possibility, one driven by audacity, tempered by cooperation, and guided by the unlikely spark of human ambition. Ilara turned to Marek, her eyes bright. Set course for the precursor station's main conduit. Let's see what secrets await. As the fleet moved as one through the Centauri Rift, the stars themselves seemed to incline in curiosity. And in that moment, all civilizations realized. Beyond panic lay discovery, and together they would chart the unknown.